Okay, hello. This is really to help you try to link what you've learned in National 5 into what you're going to be learning in your first topic in Higher Human. So we know you've all taken National 5, but that doesn't mean that you're all necessarily at exactly the same stage. So it's important that you all have a go at this and do the work related to this. So if you look at the screen, we've got 5 topics that you should have covered in National 5 that link into the first topic that we're going to cover in Higher Human, division and differentiation. So what I want you to do, take a bit of time on this, pause the video, take 15, 20 minutes, jot down everything that you can remember about those 5 topics from National 5. Do it without looking at your notes. Okay, so what do you get? Well, cell structure, you should be able to tell me, talking animal cells, you should be able to tell me the different parts of the cell and what they do. So you should be able to tell me what a nucleus does, what cytoplasm does, the role of the cell membrane, ribosomes, and mitochondria. If we come down to specialized cells, you know, what is a specialized cell? What does it mean that it's specialized? Give me some examples of specialized cells. You should be, the 2 words running through your head should be structure and function, and the connection between the 2. DNA, what did you get for DNA? Well, you've probably told me where you find it in an animal cell. You may have told me something about its structure, what it looks like. You may have told me about the base code rule, ATGC, adenine, thymine, guanine, cytosine. You might have said what it actually does, what DNA does, you know, just controls life. Moving on to stem cells. So what is a stem cell? What makes a stem cell different to other cells in the body? What are the 2 types of stem cell? And how are they different? And then finally, mitosis. It's not cell division, but it's linked to cell division. So are you aware that it's not cell division, but there is a connection to cell division? Why is mitosis so important? Can you describe all the stages of mitosis? And what is a chromosome complement, and why is it important that a chromosome complement is maintained? Well done if you've answered or been able to answer all of those questions. If not, again, just pause the video here now and have a look through your notes and see if you can find the answers to those questions. So your next task, I'm highlighting now some of the topics from National 5, and I'm wanting you to make connections and show me the links between the 2 topics. So the 2 that I've highlighted here, cell structure and DNA. The task I'm giving you to do just takes a couple of minutes. What 2 structures, or link 2 structures found within a cell to DNA, and tell me what the connection is. All right, so the obvious one, the obvious structure is the nucleus, and you should all have got that. That's where you find DNA in an animal cell. That's where it's stored. The nucleus, we say, controls the cell. The DNA is the set of instructions inside the nucleus that helps to control the cell. So you should have come up with nucleus. You can see down at the bottom the structure of the DNA, double helix structure with the base pair rule, adenine going with thymine, guanine going with cytosine. The second structure in the cell, hopefully that you got, was ribosomes. And the ribosomes really, it links the DNA to its purpose, really. We've said it controls the cell, but it's a bit vague. You know, if I was to ask you, what does DNA do? I would want you to tell me that it actually controls the proteins. It's a code for the proteins that are made in the cell. And the proteins are made at the ribosomes. So DNA is a code. It's the code of life. All life contains DNA. And we're using a code now, which hopefully you're understanding. I'm using the English language, and I'm taking letters from the English language and I'm putting them in different orders, and I'm creating words. And then I'm taking words and I'm putting those into different orders, and I'm making sentences. And hopefully these sentences are making sense. Maybe. But we use a code, we use language in order to communicate. I'm passing on information to you by means of this code that we're calling the English language. And the order of the letters within my code is important. It changes the message that I'm giving you. So for example, down at the bottom of the screen, if I take those letters, LST, IEN, and I order them, I can give you an instruction. I can say to you, listen. But if I rearrange exactly the same letters and put them in a different order, then actually I'm changing my instruction. I'm telling you to be silent now. So it's the same with DNA. The order of those bases, the A's, the T's, the G's, the C's, the order that they come in dictates the message, the instruction that is being sent from the nucleus to the ribosome, and so therefore changes the protein that is made at the ribosome. So pretty incredible stuff. Okay, so we're going to link these two topics now: cell structure and specialized cells. So again, pause the video. A little task to do. Just take a couple of minutes. So think about an animal cell. Imagine it. Have a picture in your head. What does it look like to you? Well, are you imagining something like this cell in the middle that basically looks like a fried egg? Because that's what a lot of people think of, isn't it? That's the first thing you're taught, I think, in first and second year, that this is an animal cell. They're all round and they look like fried eggs. They've got a cell membrane, a cytoplasm, and a nucleus. Well, that's a very simplistic understanding of an animal cell. And in fact, in your body, you have about 200 different types of cells, and they come in different shapes and different sizes. Why? Well, because they do different things, and they're specialized in order to do those jobs. So earlier on, we talked about the connection between the structure and the function of the cell. In other words, the structure, the shape, the size, the characteristics that it has, and the job that it actually does in your body. So what I would like you to do on this slide is just for the 3 specialized cells that are displayed, just tell me what are the jobs of those cells? What are the structures that help them to carry out that job? In what way are they specialized in order to carry out their function? So really quickly, let's just run through some of the things you might have said. So red blood cell, its job is to carry oxygen around the body. To help it to do that job, it's got a biconcave shape to increase the surface area, no nucleus, more space to carry the oxygen. They're small, they're flexible, so that they're able to get through small spaces. Sperm cell, you probably talked about streamlined shape. It's obviously, its job is to swim to the egg. So being streamlined helps. Long tail also helps it to swim. And then at the bottom, we've got nerve cell, which tend to be quite long. They carry messages through the body, and they have generally quite a lot of branches in order to receive and send signals to different parts of the body. So your next task, again, just a couple of minutes. What's the connection between specialized cells and stem cells? Right, so stem cells are actually unspecialized cells. They are generic cells that have the potential to divide and continue to divide to become more stem cells, or they can become specialized cells. So the stem cells that you have or had as a baby as you were developing inside mummy. Oh, you were cute back then. They have the potential to become any of the 200 different types of cells that you possess today. So this diagram just demonstrates that. You started off as a zygote, and it developed into a ball of stem cells. Sorry, you developed into a ball of stem cells. And then those stem cells, some of those stem cells started to specialize. And then you end up with muscle cells, fat cells, bone cells, blood cells, nerve cells, epithelial cells. I'm not going to do all 200, but you get the idea, hopefully. Again, another little task. So what's the connection now between DNA and mitosis? So just take a minute, have a think, and see what you come up with. So we've talked already about the importance of DNA in terms of making proteins, but you know, the nucleus and the DNA and the code and the instructions contained within that really control the functions of the cell, control what the cell does. So if a cell is going to divide, if one cell is going to divide and become two cells, well, before cell division can take place, you need enough DNA, you need enough of these instructions in order to control two cells. So normally a cell has enough instructions to control one cell. So this is basically what mitosis is. It needs to happen so that the daughter cells produced from the mother cell, a bit sexist, but hey, they contain the chromosome complement. So the correct number of chromosomes needed for that cell to function properly. And in the case of humans, which is all we're concerned about here, that will be 46. This diagram shows the stages. Now, you do not need to know the names of the stages, but you should recognize what's going on and be able to describe what's going on in each of these different stages and phases. So initially, we've got DNA replication taking place. So each of these chromosomes makes a copy of itself, an exact and identical copy. And then you end up basically with chromatids, pairs of chromatids joined together by a centromere. And then the nucleus disappears, or the nuclear membrane disintegrates. The spindle fibers line up these chromosomes along the equator of the cell. Are you following me? Then the spindle fibers pull the chromatids apart. So these chromatids get pulled to the North Pole and to the South Pole, and you end up with 46 chromosomes at the North Pole, 46 chromosomes at the South Pole. The nuclear membranes reform around these 46 chromosomes, and then you've got enough DNA then inside the cell to maintain two cells. So that's when the cell starts to divide, and you end up with two daughter cells, each with identical DNA, the same number of chromosomes. It's pretty incredible, and it's happening now, right now, inside you. So I'd just like to say, if you've been adversely affected by anything that you've seen or heard in this video, well, please do something about it. If anything in this video is worrying you, or if it doesn't make sense, well, do something about it. Yes, we are here to support you, but first of all, you do something about it. Go back, look at your notes, have a look on Bite Size, go on to Scholar, onto the National 5 section, do some revision of these topics. And if you're still struggling, get in touch with your teacher, because it's important you have a really good understanding of these topics from National 5 before we move on to the first topic in Higher Human. But hang on a minute. I know what you're all thinking. Mr. Hill, you just said mitosis makes sure that the chromosome complement is maintained in all the cells. So every cell has 46 chromosomes with identical DNA. And you've just said that DNA controls what the cell does and what proteins have done, or what proteins are made. But you've also just said that there are 200 different types of cell. different cells with exactly the same DNA in it. So if they've all got the same DNA with the same instructions, how on earth do they all end up being so different?